What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB. We are here today, you guys, with a brand new season of Abbott Elementary, season 4, episode number 1. The episode was titled Back to School, you guys. Now, before we get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You guys can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode of Abbott Elementary, shall we? So 2 things, you guys. 1, if there's audio issues, you guys, I appreciate you. Shout out to Justin Mama Sims. Thank you so much for leaving the information for me in my power review about the audio. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I actually know what's wrong with the audio, you guys. It's this microphone. It's literally the microphone. So I'm having to buy a new microphone, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy a new microphone. Then on top of the microphone having issues, I got a ring light issue. The ring light just went out on me. Literally, as I was coming to do this video, I went to go turn it on and it would not turn on. So I was like, fudge, man. Like when it rains, it pours. And those are things that I did not want. Like, I don't want to spend any money on stuff that I already, you hate when, and I've only had this ring light for a year at this point. Now the microphone it's a different story. I've had this microphone now for 3 years or so. So it might be time for a new microphone, but the ring light, that's bogus, right? That's bogus that this damn ring light has gone out, but it is what it is. Let's get into this episode of Abbott. Maybe this will make me be in a better mood than I already was in. So the episode opens up and we see Ava, you guys. So Ava walks into the school and she sees this little white boy sitting by himself, right? And she's like, she freaked out. So she ran to the teacher's lounge and she told everybody in there that she saw a ghost, right? So they went back to the front where the little white boy was, right? And his parents were there and she was like, oh my God, they've multiplied. So she was ready to go, get everything ready so she could take out some ghosts. I was like, Ava, these are not ghosts. These are real human being people, right? So we find out that the reason why the little white boy is there, because he's a new student at Abbott, right? So the reason that he's a new student at Abbott is because they're building this PGA golf tour and it's bringing in a lot of white people, right? So, and they're just literally moving there just to play on the golf course. I was like, wow, you got a lot of money to just move somewhere just to play on a golf course. But what about your kids, though? Neither here nor there, right? So we see Janine and Gregory. They're very awkward with one another, right? So Janine is talking to the camera, the camera crew, telling them what's happened, right? That, she and Eddie, Mr. Eddie, they tried to, see if there was a relationship that could be formed between them, but they just decided to be friends with each other, right? But then Gregory comes into the camera, psych, we're dating. I was like, we could tell y'all we're dating. Like, y'all are very obvious y'all are very obvious when it comes to Janine and Eddie and Gregory Eddie. So they're telling us that the only people who know that they're dating is Jacob, right? So then we see as Barbara, Melissa, and Ava are talking to the cameras, telling them, girl, we all know. They are the only ones who think that they're keeping it a secret from everybody. They're always in each other's faces, and Ava's like, I don't know why those two dumbasses, I don't know who those two dumbasses think they're kidding, thinking that they're hiding it when they're always in each other's faces. And we see, little montages of them being in each other's face. In the teacher's lounge, near the classroom, they are right beside each other, right? So we see as Barbara is in her classroom, and so Barbara is, having her kids paint a butterfly, right? And so Barbara went to go turn the water on and wasn't no water coming out, right? So Melissa came into Barbara's room like, hey, Barb, a kid just sneezed and I don't know what this is in my hand. And I went to go turn the water on, but there was no water. She said, do you have any water? She says, no. So they went screaming for Ava, and Ava came to let them know, like, Yeah, at this point, it's the golf course. They hit a water line, right? And so we also find out with this golf course, it's causing a traffic jam by the school, so they're having difficulties getting to class. Then it's also causing a bug and a rodent uptick. I was like, ew. And so you see Mr. Johnson, he's there and he's taking out a cockroach. He's like, that's 31. And Barbara's like, can you not keep taking out these living creatures? He said, I would, but there's one heading right towards you. She said, oh no. So she started running away, trying to stomp at the roach, telling it to unalive. So also Ava let them know that they're going to be having a staff meeting tomorrow and to have their presentations ready, right? So after they went away, we see as two kids come up, they have a podcast. So they're trying to fact check, some information before they go live with their podcast, because they've already fact checked that Mr. C can't read. He said that's not true. And they're like, so why do you always ask us to read out loud? I kind of laughed at that because it was funny, because it is interesting when you think back to it, right? Because I remember that so many times in school, I would hate for my teachers to call on me to be like, can you read from paragraph this to paragraph? I'm like, I don't want to, but since you're the teacher, I guess I have to, right? So they want to confirm if Mr. Eddie and Miss Teagues are dating. So Ava took them and walked away, because Ava's whole thing is she feels like this could be an HR issue, and she wants to avoid that because she doesn't want to get herself in trouble, right? So we see as Janine and Gregory are in the cafeteria and they're being awkward and weird with each other, right? And it's a form of flirting. I was like, oh wow, this is so odd. But okay, if Gregory and Janine likes it, I ain't got no other choice but to love it, right? Like, I ain't got no other choice but to love it. But Mr. Johnson saw those two. And you guys know Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson has a wild imagination, right? So Ava came because, Janine is like, Mr. Johnson's watching. And so Gregory is like, well, why don't we just tell everybody that we're dating, right? And Janine is a little reluctant, a little apprehensive about doing that, right? And he was like, well, it's not like HR comes here ever. And Ava came on the intercom to tell them that a member of HR will be at the school tomorrow. So if anybody has anything that they want to tell HR, feel free to tell them anything, making the hint obvious to Janine and Gregory. But Mr. Johnson, however, think that hint was towards him, because he think that Melissa is hitting on him. I was like, oh, okay, Mr. Johnson, you think that Melissa is hitting on you. Why do you think that? Last season Melissa had a boyfriend, the guy from oh, never mind. Maybe that's why Mr. Johnson got this in his head that she wants him, because she did date that guy who dealt with the vending machine. So okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll slightly give it to you. Not really. No. I don't think that Melissa wants you, Mr. Johnson, but okay. I guess. I guess. I really don't see it. Don't see it at all, right? So we come back and we see as they're in the teacher's lounge, right? So the traffic. Remember, I told you they have issues with traffic, right? So I guess Jacob wasn't able to heat up his beans in enough time to go back to eat it. He was trying to heat them up with Barbara's tea, and Barbara's like, no, Jacob, I am not gonna let you heat up your beans with my tea. He was like, but we're running out of time. She's like, it is not my fault that golf course is causing traffic delays, right? So then Morton comes in to the teacher's lounge. Morton is trying to figure out who turned off the gas, because he was trying to make some eggs on a Bunsen burner. I was like, wow, that's not safe at all. But okay, Morton, do you. So Ava came in with Warren from the district. And if you guys remember last season, that The guy that did not like Janine down at the district, well, that is Warren. And so they were complaining, and Ava said, yeah, here go the pains in my ass. And he's like, say, what did you say? She said nothing. So she was like, if y'all have any complaints, who has any complaints? Everybody raised their hands. And she said, not about me. So they put their hands down, right? So after that, we see Janine and Gregory. They're outside of the classrooms, right? Janine is telling Gregory about a date that she's planning for those two. And again, the way that they flirt is so obvious that there is something going on between them, right? So Ava came down with Warren and basically told them, like, hey, do you guys have anything that you want to say to Warren right here? Feel free to say it right here, right now. Now, before they came down, Gregory was telling Janine, maybe we should tell the district, we're dating. And she's like, again, still apprehensive, right? But he's like, well, you know what? I got 5th period free, so let's do it then. She's like, how about we wait until after the district, the meeting, and tell them then, right? But that's when, Ava and Warren came up. So when Janine said, no, they don't have anything to tell Warren, Ava was like, okay, well, if anything comes to mind, please find us and tell us, right? So after they left, Gregory asked Janine, like, is everything good between me and you? And she was like, yeah, everything's fine. I was like, is it, Janine? Is it? Now, we move over to lunch. So one little kid came up to Barbara and Melissa with a tooth that fell out. Mind you, the tooth wasn't loose. It just fell out. And there was a whole lot of blood in his hand, right? And Jacob thought it was paint. I was like, Jacob, that is not paint. That is blood. And so they took he bit into a chicken nugget. Turns out the chicken nugget was still cold as hell. And that's because the gas is still out and they're unable to heat up the chicken nugget. So they did the best that they could. I was like, what was the best you could do? A frozen chicken nugget? This baby's tooth done fell out and it wasn't even loose. Poor baby. Damn, his mama got, baby, I would sue, well, who can you sue? I mean, because your child's tooth done fell out and it wasn't loose. And now you gotta, well, hopefully the tooth will grow back. Hopefully it's not a permanent tooth, because if it's a permanent tooth, then you're just gonna have to replace that. Hopefully it was a baby tooth. Hopefully it was a baby tooth that eventually needed to come out, but came out early. Yikes. So at this point, they're fed up with this golf course, right? So Melissa is saying that, luckily she's a law-abiding citizen because, she said she would do some snooping around. I was like, Melissa, you can still do some snooping around. Just make sure it's legal, whatever you do, right? So then we see Gregory and Jacob. So they're in the teacher's lounge and, Jacob is asking Gregory, like, how did things go with Warren? And, Gregory is telling him, like, it didn't go because Janine didn't want to tell him. And Gregory is wondering if Janine is still very much into them. And Jacob's like, yeah, she's still into you. Like, I know you guys aren't ready for this, but I love you both too. I was like, only Jacob, right? So after that, Janine came in because Janine has this presentation that she wants to present to everybody. She has cues on there for, pauses, laughing and all this stuff. I was like, really, Janine? Okay. But she left it at home. So Gregory was like, well, you know what? I'll go get it. So she gave him her keys and then she kissed him on the cheek, right? And Jacob was like, you got a little bit right there. Want me to get it for you? He said, no, don't touch it. That was funny to me. Now, moving back over to Melissa. So Melissa found out that the golf course the work is being done by non-union workers, right? So she came up with a suggestion for them. We can either turn them into the city or I can have one of my cousins take out their pets. And Barbara looked at her like, call the city. I was like, yeah, please call the city. So we get to the meeting, right? And Barbara was the first one up. So they gave Janine some time. She was like, oh, cool. But when Janine said it gives her some time, because Gregory said I made it back, Barbara finished up her thing, so Janine had to go, right? So Janina's presenting, and then Gregory comes in with her stuff, right? He was like, it was on your kitchen set in your classroom. So this right here was hilarious to me, right? So Melissa said, why are you sweating? He said, because I had to run from her classroom. And he was like, I went to her classroom to get this, I was in her classroom. And they were like, well, why are you sweating? He said, because it was hot in her classroom. So Mr. Johnson said, turn that heat down, right? So then Barbara said, but what about the keys in your hand? He said, oh, these are my keys. So Melissa said, you like Cinderella? He said, I like what she represents. And then she says, well, what about the keychain that says Janine? So he says, well, Ava says, maybe you should tell us all why, right? So he says, well, that's why my car didn't start. And so somebody asked him, so why did you go to Janine's car? Well, no, he said that's why his car didn't start, right? And then it was Barbara says, well, why did you go? Yeah, why did you go to your car in the first place? So Janine says because he left his keys in my car. And so Jacob said, but if he left his keys in your car, in his car, then how did he get into his car? And she was like, shut up, Jacob. So then Mr. Johnson gonna clock in. Mr. Johnson clocked in saying, yeah, because I saw you give him a ride home, and then the next day y'all came back. And then I also saw him one day with a duffel bag. He's like, I always I take a duffel bag everywhere I go. And so Mr. Johnson comes up with this bright idea that Janine and Gregory are selling drugs. And everybody's like, whoa. And Janine said, no, we're having sex. I was like, oh. I mean, we didn't want to go that far, but okay. So Janine, after that, is her and Gregory talking. So Gregory was like, I still think we should tell everybody that, we are dating with each other. Janine, however, feels that they should go and tell everybody that they were playing a prank on them. I was like, Janine, that is not a prank, girl. To say that you're having sex with someone, that ain't no prank. But okay, Janine, if that's what you want to say that. So Gregory asked her, like, are you still into this? She said, I'm very much into this. So then Janine is really telling them what it is. It's the fact that, she's just afraid she's afraid, right? She wants this to work between she and Gregory. And the last time that she, did try to, she did go all in, it didn't work out. So she doesn't want that for them. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. She's fearful. But, Gregory was able to convince her that they need to go and tell everybody that they are dating, right? So she agreed to it, right? So then we see as the attorney for the people with the golf course came down to the school, right? So it was Barbara, Melissa, and Jacob talking. And so when they were talking, the man came in, he bribed Melissa with a $500 gift card, and was like, I would have settled for $200, $250. She said, Barbara, you can have the other $250. And Jacob was like, well, what about me? And he was like, well, I think we have, 15 computers laying around. No, scratch it. We have 20. And so I think it was Melissa said, if you make it 25, we're good, right? That the school can have, right? So Ava was like, what y'all doing out there? And Melissa said, we're bribing him. She's like, I'm so proud of y'all. She said, make sure that Warren don't see y'all. I was like, Ava. So moving back over to Ava, Ava is being told that this business that she has where she's selling jewelry that the kids have made on Etsy, it's against the law because of the child labor law. She was like, but what if the kids love it? I was like, Ava, that's still against the law, beloved. So Gregory and Janine came in, and Janine went down a long rabbit hole to tell that they were dating. And Warren just like, I just need to know, what is your relationship? She's like, he's my boyfriend. And he says, she's my girlfriend. And that's that. And so as they were leaving, Ava was like, and Gregory, our situationship is over. He was about to say, but it never was. And Jenny was like, let her have it. I was like, exactly, let her have it, right? So at the end of the episode, we see as Morton and Jacob are talking to Warren, and Warren basically told them, like, you two need to grow up. And then Melissa and Mr. Johnson has all these takeout menus from Melissa, And he's saying that Melissa is suggesting that they go out on a date. I was like, really? So just because she gave you a takeout menu, that's saying y'all need to go on a date? Okay, Mr. Johnson. I mean, if that's what you think, then that's what you think. I ain't gonna say cat, dog, boo, or anything of the sorts. But okay, Mr. Johnson. Okay. But that's the episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notifications. Share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.